sorry about that. Anyways, that's how you would do it before. Now you don't have to. You can just use the preprocessor now and use include. Um, Now, what I said earlier about this being a huge deal um, is a huge deal because now I can put all my macros definitions and or where I define my custom owned macros and point to the CBA macros. I can define it here in one file, okay? One file. And I can reference that file from anywhere in my mission folder. So let's say I have a script component file here for the functions, right? Because I have my functions in its own folder. So here I point to script component.hpp, which is the script component in the folder before this one. So not in functions, but it points to main. So what this dot dot does is it goes to the parent directory. So it'll go, so really this is like main and then script component.hpp. So it's just this, the folder above, that's what this is, and then script component.hpp. So then when I do that, whoops, it'll point to this file, script component.hpp, grab all these lines of code here and all these definitions, and then include this file as well, my macros, script macros. Boom, all my macros now in one folder, or in one file. Sorry, this is a huge deal. I mean, before I was doing all this other unnecessary work. Now I just like reference that file. So let's say I go into my my MHQ module. Okay, so here is my MHQ module. Script component.hpp is the file I always reference for the macros and some other things. So here, look, I define component is MHQ, and then I include this script mod, right? And that's for referencing the prefix, because CBA requires you to define prefix and component. And then, so then I include this, right, for debug reasons, and then this. So this represents the parent directory, and then I go look, search in main, and then script macros.hpp. So pretty much what that does is it goes up one file. No. So I go up one file. So when I'm in the MHQ module, and I say go to the main, or go to the, I point to the script macros file, right? I go up, right? That's what that's doing. Go back into main, and then I search for script macros.hpp. Boom, and that's it. That's what that include file was doing here. So this was a huge deal now. I mean, I could do all this work now and point to only one file that contains the macros, you know, and it's very nice. I don't have to put all the unnecessary macros in here either, like I was before. That's how I was doing it. I didn't use the other method, but I was using this method where I would just put all my macros in here and define prefix and component up here. Now, this script mod is for here. So I define component, right? And then I have to define prefix. So what I do is I put the prefix definition here in script mod, and then I include script debug, right? So script debug contains the defined variables or the defined values for the for debug. So if I define any one of these here like this, and it doesn't have to be anything over here, you can just be empty. So if I define one of these, actually it's probably, I mean, it doesn't even matter. as long as it's defined, from what I remember seeing in CBA's macros. Um, so if these are defined here, then that will enable some debug um, functionality in your file. So like let's go back to my folder. So let's say I go to init.sqf, right, in my main folder. Now I include my script components, so now I've included everything, the macros definitions and my debug, whatever. So let's say I have let's go back and script debug. So now this file contains everything as far as debug. So if I want to debug a certain module, this is what I have to do. So usually like the file will be like this, right? All commented out. When the file's being used by a user, right? And they don't want to use debug, they just want to play through the mission. This is what it would look like. Now let's say I want to debug the main module. Boom, that's it. That's all I have to do, because in my mission folder, or in my init, or in my main module, right, I've used some certain macros in there to tell me what happens when it's in debug mode. So trace one here. What this does is you input a string that you want to display in the RPT, and then you place a variable here afterwards to show what the value of that variable is. So this is checking to see what the debug value is. So ins debug here. This is to turn off and on debug. But this is real simple. This needs more work, obviously, but this will be better in the future, I guess. You know, to define it here. But this searches for this just shows what the debug value is. So to check to see what if it's in debug or not. What else? See if we can find something else. Let's go to my init server core. So trace _1 is a macros for that. If debug is in debug mode full is what CBA uses. If that is defined, then this will be used. So when I enable this, that means debug mode full. And then for this module, and so debug will be fully enabled, and so there'll be some macros that are activated. So like trace _1. So let's actually go look at the macros. So these are the macros. So for debugging here, see, there's 3 different debug modes. There's debug mode full, normal, and minimal. When you're playing a mission and you haven't defined debug mode full, then debug mode normal is always in use. Is always the one that's defaulted, that the mission's defaulted to. So all debugging is on except trace and log. See that? And then they have debug mode minimal. So if you define that, then only error and error with title are turned on. But when you the way I have it set up is if I define any one of these in script debug, then debug mode full is on. Now you can actually change that in their script component file. So my script component for main module is here. So look, if define debug enabled main, which is here, I've defined it, then debug mode full, right? So I could change it so that this says minimal actually, and so it'll just be minimal instead. So this is really nice using macros in general actually, because you usually only need to define things at one spot, and you can change or manipulate your code a certain way, and you don't have to go through all your code and manipulate it. You just manipulate your code at one spot, and boom, you have debug mode on. It's really nice. So like here we have log, which I've used a lot. Error, error with title, message with title, retinal. It's just a very, actually, I don't know if this should be here actually. That's weird. Let me see. Oh, maybe, yeah. Okay. I didn't know about retinal. Forgot about that one. And trace. Now, trace is a big one I use a lot. Only because it logs variables for you. So, like, trace underscore 1, it'll log one variable. And trace underscore 2, it logs two variables. And here in their CBA's wiki, it shows you how to use it. So, like I showed before in the init.sqf here, trace underscore 1, I'm just logging this variable here so I can see what it looks like, you know. Init server core, right here, doing it again. Init server core, I'm logging, you know, map center variable. Now there's a lot of macros in the C. There's a lot of macro functions as far as the. Or I'm sorry, there's a wide variety of in the macro CBA's macros library. You can do a lot. They've done a lot of work. I just want to point that out. It's really awesome. I mean, if mission making with CBA is awesome, and also calling functions. I've actually worked out a new way to call functions using CBA's macros. So CBA macros here. Here's a good example. Func right here. This func macros. So the func macros looks like that. What this is it's used to call functions. So like the way it works is, from what I've seen it. So like it'll say it in the CBA macros, it says define like and then it'll show like triples or something like that. But really what it ends up being is like your function. So like ins this. So let's just hang on. Let's just show you. So this right here actually means ins main underscore fnc underscore cache handler. That's actually what that looks like. But with the macros, it's just easier to work with because I don't always have to type out, you know, ins underscore main or underscore main underscore fnc, all that, you know, all that. I don't have to type that out constantly. All I have to do now is when I want to use a function, I just use func, boom, and then type in what function. Now this is only for this particular module, right? So func this. So when I use the func macro, I'm looking for that macro will look for the function in my in this particular module. Now let's say I want to use a function from another module, right? So then I would use efunc, and so this actually requires two input values. So the first value is where. Or what was it? What component it is, right? What component? So let's say I want to use something from some other module. Let's go to client functions. So let's say I want to use a function from the client module, right? Lives check, okay? So I would call efunc client, comma, lives check. That's it. Now what this looks like is ins underscore client underscore fnc underscore lives check. Okay, that's how simple this is. So that way I'm not always having to type this out. I just type this out. This is easy to remember and easy to work with, you know. The way I remembered this is efunc maybe stands for like external function, you know, something that's not in the component. And the way I've worked out this whole function, so like I define my functions in the description.exe. So remember I referenced in my description.exe I referenced a different file. I included a different file, right? ins main description.hpp. That file is my main folder. So I go to description.hpp. Oh, it's right here. This is my description file, and I include the script component here because I use some macros in my description. So like here I use quote, and I use quote because I define version. So insurgency redux version, and my version is defined in my script mod folder, which is here. My script mod right here. Actually, what? No. You know what? It's not defined there. I remember now. I had to define it. I wanted to define it in the mod version or script mod, but I had to define it in macros because I had to define version under script macros mission.hpp because in this particular file here, they actually undefine it. And so there was, when I was running the mission, I was like trying to figure this out, and I was like, oh wow. So then I had to define it here. Not a big deal. I'm not too worried. I mean, if anything, I can just, CBA is open source now, so I can just input that, I guess, maybe up into the CBA. But for now, it's here. So I put my version here, the version variable, because that is referenced in my script macros. There's some other nice things I did in here too. Here, the sounds. So I've defined my own macro here called path to sound. Because I've put all my sound files in one folder here, sounds. So the way I did that is, again, this is so easy to define and do your own macros work. So because everything's in one folder. So here I've defined path to sound here, and that is here. So it's quote prefix sounds var1. So, and then what that means is when I use it, so it'll search for the prefix here, path to sound. So in this case, it'll be or ins, right, prefix, the sounds folder, and then the file. So then var1, so that'll be the input. So path to sound, and then input here, news.ogg. So really what this looks like is like quotations, and then it looks like ins sounds, and then news.ogg. That's what this path to sound and then news.ogg looks like. So that's what that really looks like. But I just use path to sound because I don't want to type this out all the time. It gets annoying and it's a pain in the butt. So I just use path to sound because it's easily, I can remember that easily, and use path to sound and then the file in there, the name of the file. Here I used a function because I have a handler running when this particular class is killed. This function will execute, right? Or no, actually no, I'm sorry. I wanted to do that, but this wasn't working right due to, I think, this issue with CBA. So what I did is I just attached an event handler to each of these classes, or to this particular class. So then, and I just use the macro to call the function. So I use quote, this call, blah blah blah. I use quote because I don't know, typing like this, typing a function out in quotations, it just looks weird to me. I don't know about anybody else. So I just use quote because this looks like code, and it's just easily recognizable to me. Again, I'll just point this out again so everyone understands this. So this particular line here, I'll just do this. It actually is the exact same thing as this. Look, underscore this, call ins underscore what are we? Main module underscore FNC underscore handle killed. This is the exact same thing, but I didn't have to do all this unnecessary typing and and using quotation marks because it just doesn't look right to me. So then I just use func. Because I'm using a function in the main module to and that function adds the event handler or whatever. But anyways, yeah. So this is it. Oh, and a nice easy way I've noticed to do parameters is each module has its own like parameters, right? So the way I've done it is each module has what's called a script params file here. And it'll look like this in the script params file. And then I just include this in the... Oh, I think I accidentally clicked that. Yeah, I did. And I just include this in my description here. So that way, each module, it's nice. It just has its own parameters file, and it's nice and clean. So the reason I've wrote my particular mission like this is just because for the modular looking cleanliness. It just looks clean. Each module has a certain thing that it does, and it keeps your code clean and tidy. You don't have stuff everywhere. So like the way I see a lot of people writing is, a lot of missions they have like a scripts folder, right? And then in their scripts folder they have more folders that say like this is for VAS, or and then this is for respawn, something like that for they attach an event handler for when you're respawning or something. Essentially, when you do this, you're actually doing practically the exact same thing what I'm doing here, except I don't know, mine it looks cleaner, I guess. I don't know. I always feel weird when I see scripts folder because I'm afraid to look in there and be like, oh my god, and then there's just scripts everywhere. I mean, look how clean this looks, huh? And then I even have a notes, folder in here. And this is nothing. It just shows what to do, my goal, blah blah blah. But anyways, yeah. That's it, really. I mean, I just wanted to explain a little bit how you could, use CBA in your missions, and how you can utilize the macros. Oh, and speaking of extended the extended event handlers, but speaking of extended event handlers, a lot of people don't know this, but you can use these particular event handlers, CBA's extended event handlers, in the description .exe, right? Because the way they wrote it is that they search for this particular class in the mission config file, which is the description.exe, and the mod config file, so the config.cpp file. But anyways, yeah, this is CBA right here. Without CBA, I wouldn't be able to do this here. But anyways, yeah. Speaking, well, if you guys are wondering about this mission is, I think it's almost done, really. I'm just adding more and more features, actually, now that I think about it. I probably could just throw it on a server and it would be playable right now. So, like, I'll explain my mission here just to kind of give you an idea of what I've done using, keeping it modular and looking clean with CBA. So, like, I have my main folder here, and this controls, like, some admin stuff. There's some admin functions in here that I use, and mostly this module controls the cache and cache handling. So like when I blow up a cache, or I had to call a new cache out and stuff like that. That's what this particular module does. This MHQ module handles the MHQ that I've written up There's like an MHQ in there. It's actually easy to use because the way I've written it is it'll search the. So like all you do is name a vehicle like INS MHQ1 or something like that, and then it'll search for in the mission file, search through the vehicles looking for anything that's named with like INS MHQ. This restrictions folder handles, or this restrictions module handles vehicle restrictions and to check to see whether you're a pilot or a a crewman, and because I only want like crewmen to be the people in tanks or armored vehicles, and then I only want pilots to be the ones in the helicopters and planes. So I don't just want random people hopping in the choppers and stuff. You do need to be a pilot, in the pilot slot to be using the choppers. This service module is not really anything except just to hold these files here and keep the tidiness up. This is just like a simple service script. I think it's actually just, yeah, this is like the X reload file, whatever, by Zeno. This will just be a placeholder. I want to do something else. I don't want to really use this, but that was just a placeholder for now. This is my sounds folder. I just keep sounds in there. This squad teleport module. So like at the base, you can teleport to your squad through the action menu or whatever using. But so this handles that. This tickets module handles like how so like let's say Op4 kills a Blue 4 player, right? Well, Blue 4 will lose one ticket. So this handles all that, and then when you like, I have it now too. So when you blow up a cache, it'll add like, what was it? It adds like, how many lives again? Let's see. Actually, I think I have it in here somewhere. I can't remember. I don't even. Oh, I just noticed something. So, okay, maybe it. Wow. Huh. There's supposed to be. That's weird. Okay, so there's supposed. I'm sorry. There's supposed to be like a file in here somewhere that actually shows. Let's. Oh, you know what? I think it's in the main folder. Well, there's okay. So, so let's say Op4 kills a Blue 4 unit. They lose a ticket, right? So, but if Blue 4 blows up a cache, they're supposed to get like some X amount of tickets back, and I think that's actually defined in the main module, which is actually, I think I should move it back over here into tickets now that I think about it. This client module handles some things with the client as far as like creating a diary, and then this diary is actually pretty nice. So when I call the diary, or I set up the diary, it has like features in there where you can click on the links or whatever it has in there, but really it's just what that does, it'll check for how many caches are left. You can also look up the server FPS through it, and there was one other thing I don't remember now. I don't know. I haven't really messed around with this in a while, but I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I just haven't had the chance. This civilian module handles what happens when civilians are killed. Right now, at the moment, that's all it does. And all it does, it just removes one blue ticket, or no, 5 blue tickets, Blue 4 tickets. So you lose 5 Blue 4 tickets, so don't kill civilians. That's really what this is for. But I want to expand this more and do some more work with the civilians. This call to prayer module is just a placeholder, but back in the old days of, I don't know if you guys all remember, military gaming had a insurgency server, and they had something in there called like call to prayer or something, where there was like a prayer like around certain times and stuff, and you could hear it from the mosque or whatever, and you could blow up the mosque, and you could blow up the minarets. That's what it was. You could blow up the minarets, and then the sound would go away. But that's still work in progress. I haven't really touched that at all. But anyways, yeah, that's what each of these modules do, and that just shows. This is just one example of how you could write this up. I forgot to actually explain to you how I handled the functions and defining functions. So in my functions, um, hang on, let's go back to my description here. So my description, I actually just do it the old-fashioned way, right? I use the CFG functions class, and I include the functions.hpp file in each of the modules, right? And then each of those functions.hpp files looks like this, pretty much. So I've tried to set it up before so that um, it looks like this, right? So like class, and then prefix, and then like class component, right? So that way it keeps it looking like keeps it looking clean. Like so, if that way, if you're in the functions viewer, you could see, you could look at each um, you look at each what's the word, each category, and you could see, oh, this component handles this component has these functions, blah blah blah. But I totally forgot you couldn't do this because you're defining two classes prefix here. You're defining prefix in each file over and over and over, and you can't really do that. So I just decided not to do that. Something just came to my mind. Huh. I just realized, I wonder if I can go like this, like class. I typed this out wrong. Class, and then like prefix. No, I can't do that. Yeah, that won't work. Because when I use the func, it needs to look like so it needs to look like this, score main, score like that, F and C. So if I use prefix component, then it would be INS and then F and C, right, or something like that. It wouldn't look right. It just wouldn't look right. It's not gonna, it won't be the same, and it wouldn't be able to utilize this macros. So yeah, the way I set it up, I think I actually tried to do that before, and I totally forgot about it. Anyways, the way I set this up, the class add-on is defined in the CBA macros. It's actually defined in script macros common. Add-on is pretty much just looks like this. It's defined like this. Define add-on, and it's like prefix. But yeah, prefix underscore component. That's pretty much just what add-on looks like. Prefix underscore component, and that's how I'm able to utilize the function macros, because the func macros looks for, or calls the files like this, ins underscore main, right? That's exactly the same as prefix underscore component for this particular module. So that's how I'm able to utilize the func macros, and I just use class add-on and then component, because there has to be another defined class under this class. So then you have I have component, and then I have file, and then path to funcs. Path to funcs is just I've defined that over here actually. Path to funcs, it's just prefix, component, and then functions folder. So I like to keep my functions. I know CBA, the way they set up their mod too is just like they have their functions in the same folder as everything else, but I like to put my functions in a separate folder just for cleanliness. And then right here is where I define all my functions, just like I normally would, or anybody else would with they weren't using CBA. It's just mine's using some macros. So yeah, that's how I define the functions. That's a big thing. Anyways, I just made this video to help with people who are looking to maybe make a mission and maybe want to get that modular look, or just a clean look, right? They don't want code everywhere. They don't want scripts everywhere. This is the way you could do it using CBA, and utilizing their way of how should I say? Just utilizing the modular form of programming, I guess you could say. Um, I mean, and I think technically this, I mean, like, no, never mind. Actually, never mind. So, anyways, yeah, this is just a good example of, in my opinion, of what you could do using CBA in your mission. Um, you guys can like, rate, comment, subscribe, whatever, because this will be posted to YouTube. Um, Thanks a lot, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video.